Okay, hello everyone. I think we are live. I am Sarah and this is Robin. But
Hello.
I am having a little bit of technical difficulties with what we're supposed to be doing here. And so I'm logging into my phone to make sure that what we see is what we're supposed to see. Okay, good. Okay, Robin. So what is happening right now is I'm now monitoring from my phone, and this is where I'll be monitoring the comments. So if you see me looking away, it's on purpose because the computer system wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing, and so, but it's working now. It's working in a way.
Good job being
Hello,
honest.
everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Sarah. I am grateful and humbled and blessed to lead this amazing community of women. And as you know, every Friday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time and 1 p.m. Eastern Time, we have a guest speaker, one of our members, who comes and shares their passion with and their wisdom with us. So today is Robyn's turn, and if you have any profession in the holistic and health and wellness fields and you'd like to talk to us on a Friday, please feel free to reach out to me. Right now I think we're booked through the end of October, beginning of November, but we could always plan in advance. One of the logistic things I want to update today is I had been doing the drawing. So every Friday when we do this, you get to participate in a little raffle. So our guest speaker today, Robyn, is giving away a little lip gloss. And so if you comment on the live or if you do hashtag replay, then you get entered in the drawing. And so the way that that works is starting this week, the following Friday, I'll announce the winners of the week before whenever we log in. So that's it for the announcements for me. And with that, let me just go ahead and hand it over.
Well, thank you. So, first of all, I had dental work done this morning and I thought I'd be in the clear, but I'm not. But here we are. So, if you see me kind of grabbing and a crooked smile, that's what's going on. But I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I wanted to just kind of give a little introduction of myself and my background a little bit. So I'm Robyn Mons. I live here in Salt Lake City and met Sarah through some networking. And immediately our first conversation together, it was just like fireworks, right? We were just like, yes, we're on the same page. So that's fun to find people like that. So I have a background for the last decade plus. I've been a personal trainer, transformation coach, nutrition coach. So I have been on the front lines with women in particular as they have worked on transforming their bodies and being healthy and, for their various reasons. And I noticed something that was very typical, and that was they would make progress and some would never actually get to their goal, and many would, but the amount of people that actually just were able to sustain those results was very low, probably about less than 5%. I think I'm being a little generous even with that. And I've always been curious about that and wondered, clearly it's not a character flaw or lack of effort or something wrong with them, but just like what's going on? Why is this a struggle for us, as we work through these things? And so between that background and being a part of this experience with people and really wanting this to be something that lasts for them, that and my own personal journey, with mental and emotional wellness, along with a personal experience I had years and years ago when I wasn't able to have more children and wanted more, that I had a very distinct, for me, I call it God, a communication from God, that it was, I was pretty much shown that there were others that I needed to nurture and focus on as well. And I just knew it was women. So kind of a combination of all that is what brings me here to being a life coach who work with women in particular who are wanting to lose weight. So that's kind of where I come from, why I'm doing it now.
let me pause there for a second and ask those of you who are watching to just say hi in the comments so that we know you're there. I see a few people watching live right now. So just say hello and feel free to ask any questions as we go along. And if you can relate to what we're discussing, then feel free to comment as well and share your experiences. Keep going.
Yeah, so, the reason why I do this is not so that we can meet society's standard for what our bodies should look like, not so that we can please our husbands or stick it to our mom who always compared us to our sister, whatever, right? Those aren't the reasons why I do this. But I believe that your soul is comprised of your spirit and your body together, and that you need to have a relationship with both. So we tend to do a good job kind of nurturing ourselves spiritually, but a lot of times we tend to, because there's so much emotional, we're so emotionally charged around our bodies, that tends to be more of a struggled relationship. And so I'm kind of a relationship coach for you and your body. And as a result of that, you end up naturally at your natural body weight as a result of that work, right? So it's an inside job. And that is what's the difference between a quick, let me just hang on and cut the calories and be on this plan and just hang on tight and force myself to do this and get there and then find myself back up to where I was. It's difference between that and a difference between this truly being a relationship I take care of and nurture and manage, and then the results reflect that. It stays.
So you're working at the mental and the emotional level, and not just necessarily, you're really getting to the root cause of the problem, right? Because a lot of the
Absolutely.
times food is just comfort, and it's just that it first starts with awareness. Would you agree?
Yeah, number one. Yeah, just even like one of your guests previously just shared, I believe it was Tammy, said that 90% of our behaviors are on a subconscious level, meaning you're not aware of them. You're just kind of automatically living out. And how many of those behaviors surrounding food, it's the same thing. So there was a time for thousands of years, literally, it was like responding unconsciously to your hunger and eating was not really a problem, because the environment provided the kind of foods during the right seasons and all of that. Like, you could just respond without thinking critically about it, and the environment kind of managed your weight for you. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And we have done so much to, in civilization, to create this modern world that, yes, we're living longer and we're solving so many problems, and so many things come that are wonderful from that. But now one of them is that we have this environment where food is very abundant, and we've also created some foods and altered things that affect our brains differently and has increased our desires. And so now, if I'm just living my life just kind of responding to my hunger and desire in a subconscious way, then I'm going to get a negative effect from that. The environment no longer manages our body weight for us.
Yeah. And in yoga philosophy, we have something that's called Ayurveda, and it kind of goes in line with what you're saying, which is eat with the seasons, and your body needs certain foods at certain times of the year, depending on where you are. And they go into very, very detail as of what to eat and how to eat it. And one of the things that I like about your approach is that you basically don't really prescribe a specific way, a specific diet, a specific system. And I'm very mindful, because I have in the past tried certain ways of eating that, instead of were supposed to be healthy, but instead of helping, they were hurting me, and my body wasn't getting the nutrition that I needed. And even something as simple as yogis are supposed to be vegetarians. And I tried it for a while and my body didn't agree. Now, I'm not saying that's true for everyone. I think that vegetarian diet will work great for a lot of people, but it wasn't working for me, and it took me years, and it wasn't until my body was like actually very depleted of a lot of things, and I had all these symptoms, and my hormones were out of balance, my sugar levels were unstable, probably because I wasn't doing it right, let's say. But whatever the reason, it didn't work for me, right? So can you talk about your approach and what makes you different from like other weight and nutritionists out there?
Right. Yeah. So I believe that's, well, not just a belief, it's scientifically true that system is within us. Okay. We have hormonal systems to regulate everything, including our weight management. And when you were born, my biggest evidence that you have the system in you is that at birth, one of the first things you were able to communicate was your hunger and your satiation levels, right? So that was nice and calibrated at birth. We cried when we were hungry, and we stopped eating when we were satisfied. It didn't matter if mom was over here full of milk and needed us to eat more. We were like, no, I'm done. There was no obligation. There were no other emotional reasons to eat besides feeling that need for hunger. So you weren't brought home with a macro list and a calorie count, that your mom had to meet. You communicated that. And that is my approach, is that I teach you how to get back in tune with that in a very tangible and cognitive way. It's not this abstract, like, oh, just feel it out there. It's truly, I have certain tools to help you pay attention to certain things that we're going to recalibrate that ability to really know when I'm hungry and to know when I'm satisfied. And that is the only thing you need to pay attention to manage your weight. Promise you. And we have added just so much confusion and so many rules and so many moral labels to the food and when we should eat and why and all that stuff, that those are a lot of our patterns, behaviors that we live from, is from that conditioning. Like a simple example is you shouldn't waste food. How many times have you eaten beyond your level of satisfaction, or when you're not even hungry at all, because maybe your kid walks away and you're not hungry, but they just finished lunch, but they left 1.5 bites of nuggets on the plate? You will finish that if that is a belief that you have.
Or if it doesn't even have to be a belief, it's just automatic behavior.
It's that, but every behavior, at least my approach and my belief and how I've studied the brain, begins with a thought.
That's right, but
you think first.
You don't even know you're having that thought. Like,
you don't.
When you say believe, my thinking is, okay, I consciously believe. What you're saying is that these are beliefs that you believe that you don't even know you believe, and they have you on autopilot doing all of these things. And so let's go ahead and see and examine what these beliefs are and bring them from the subconscious to the conscious, so that you can then take conscious action to change that behavior.
Exactly. Then you can be like, well, is this what I want to believe? Is this how I want to think about food? But so much of how we think about food, I mean, just think how early on in age we start using it for reward to go on the potty, and we start using it for other reasons besides hunger, And I'm not here to say most of my clients, and including myself, don't want to only eat for hunger and never for any other reason, right? But like, I want to eat sometimes in celebration, but I'm very conscious and mindful what I want to celebrate. I used to celebrate going to the grocery store and shopping, and I'd get a candy bar. Now I'm like, that's not really something I want to celebrate with food, right? I'm like, I'm so grateful I have money to shop and eat and fill my cupboards, right? But I want to celebrate on date night or at the birthday party or whatever, right? That you can choose, but you have to bring those up to your consciousness to even make those decisions. Yeah. So many things that we were told about food and the cultural norms about food are they are beliefs that they're thoughts that we've thought over and over and over. That's what a belief is. And now you're just living automatically from them. And the problem with not becoming aware of them is this, and this is what I see in the fitness world. I'm still a personal trainer in a gym once a week and watching this all happen, okay? What happens is, say I do have this unconscious belief that I shouldn't waste food. So I start this new diet, and I'm paying attention more to what I'm eating, and so maybe I don't finish my kid's plate because I'm like, oh, I don't want those extra calories, I better not do that, right? So I start changing my behavior, but I have this belief, again, I might not even realize it, but I have this belief that I shouldn't waste food, and so that creates a lot of tension for me. But I'm kind of able to hang on to willpower and just be like, no, nope, I'm gonna put the nuggets away in the fridge, or I'm just gonna throw it away, whatever. But after so long, when you're either bored of your diet or you're frustrated or whatever, and you're kind of just like, whatever, you have those whatever days, you go back. You always will go back to how you think. You'll always go back to your beliefs. Okay? Yeah. So when we're designed and created to be at peace, when our beliefs match our reality, when those things match. Okay, so when I start changing my eating habits, and this is what we do with wanting to lose weight, we start making all these changes, but we're not even aware of our beliefs with them. So like that same example, okay, I'm going to throw away food that I'm not using, and because I'm not going to eat and take on the extra calories, and I haven't looked at my belief around it because I don't even know it's there. Like I said, that creates tension. Yeah. So on top of changing your behavior, you're under this tension because now you're acting differently than how you believe. And like I said, eventually when that willpower gives out, or when you fatigue on something and you're just like, I'm too busy, life is too crazy, I can't focus on this, this is why we go back to what?
The behavior.
Behaving how we believe.
Yeah.
And it manifests. Even people that get to their goal will be like, and now I'm here and I've arrived, I can relax a little bit. That's why we gain the weight back. We go back to all of these same beliefs that have us overeating, have us eating for reasons outside of hunger.
And I would add to that, yes, it's the beliefs, and a lot of the times it's also how do I explain it? Because whenever I have these speakers on Fridays, my intention is to kind of show everyone there's so many paths up the mountain, and whatever path is your path is correct. And when I hear what you guys are sharing, so you're sharing this, and my yogi mind is going, yeah, exactly, of course, that makes perfect sense, because what you're bringing consciousness, you're bringing mindfulness really to your patterns, to what you believe. And here's the thing, if you can learn to do that with food, then you can learn to do that with your emotions. Why do I feel with that? Why do I feel this anger? What's the belief that is whatever that's creating this inner conflict? When you can identify that the emotion settles, when the emotion settles, then you don't have to give into the craving to kind of appease the emotion. So it wasn't just the belief that you had about food, it was the belief that you had about your relationship, your expectations, your job, your whatever it is. A lot of the times people start doing yoga and they lose weight, and it'll take them a while. It'll take them a good 9-12 months, sometimes much longer, and they'll show up on this. It's like, I've been losing like 20 pounds, like what is going on? And I'm like, okay, well, all that probably means is you became more mindful, and you stopped, and your emotions kind of settled a little bit, and because you changed that, then your body came back to balance, and it stopped doing this automatic behavior. And it happens in an effortless way, which is what you're describing, right? So instead of fighting and out of willpower trying to make things what are not, can we focus on what is, increase awareness, mindfulness, love, compassion, understanding of what is, and the minute that you stop the struggle, is what you're saying, like, and you stop the inner conflict and the fighting, the system goes back to its natural state, which what you said is supposed to be peace and joy. And
right, and that natural, just understand, like, so many people come to me and they're like, I know that your philosophy is eat when you're hungry, but I don't even trust my hunger. I don't know if I am really hungry or if that's just me telling myself I'm hungry, right? So we work through all of that, but we all have that system in us. through, and it's three main hormones, and I won't go into them too much, but it's ghrelin, leptin, and insulin. It's the ones that tell us we're hungry, tells us we're full, and then stores the fat from our eating, right? That's all. Those are the hormones that regulate your body fat based on, responding to them. And so those we regulate, but we do that through becoming conscious. So like to your point, and this is why I'm so passionate about this, again, it's not about being thin or getting that number on the scale so finally you can feel good. It's because you have to become so present with your emotional life. And I love that we get to practice with food, something more simple like food, that I can learn, when I think I shouldn't waste food, that makes me feel obligated. And so that feeling of obligated is what's driving me to react and eat. Do I want to eat because I feel obligated? Is that a reason for eating? That's the emotion. It's an emotional reason for eating that is not hunger related. And then you start to then have to look at I believe I should waste food. Okay, well, should food be wasted? What's my thought about that? I'm going, Byron Katie, some turns around. Maybe, why should I waste food? Well, I concluded whether I eat it or whether I throw it away, the end result is waste. It's garbage, right? And so that's one way to look at it. And it doesn't mean you have to swing over and decide, I think it's great to be wasteful with food. I'm still mindful and I pay attention. I actually throw away a lot less food than I ever did, because I used to fill my pantry with all the things I thought I was supposed to eat rather than just paying attention to my hunger levels. So anyway, so then when you start to realize, well, I don't want to eat because of obligation. That's not an emotional reason I feel like eating. Then you start to change your mind about some of these beliefs. Like I said, it brings it up to your consciousness. I feel obligated because of this whole belief system I have about wasting food. I can save it in the fridge for later when we're hungry again, or yes, I will choose to throw this portion of it away, and I'll be mindful next time I prepare food and remember how much to make, right? Then you, number one, make peace with that belief and you stop feeling obligated when you see food left on plates. But then you start to choose and understand, what emotions am I really willing to eat from? And when I recognized how many of my habits came from boredom, from nervousness, or from being tired, those are my main emotions I used to eat from. Once I just became aware that that's what's going on, I was like, well, I don't want to eat because I'm bored. That's not a reason I like for eating. And I was able to stop, right? But it's because, number one, it came into my awareness. I was conscious of it. But then here's what happens. Okay, so I recognize that right now I'm wanting to eat, and it's because I'm feeling something, not because I'm necessarily hungry. I checked with my belly. It's not asking me for food. But then most of us don't know what to do with that emotion that's left there, because we're used to eating, right? We're used to completing that loop in our brain of, hey, I shouldn't waste food. That produces the feeling of obligation. When I feel obligated about food, I eat it. And that's the current that's the pathway in my brain. And so now I'm not going to eat and respond to this, and it leaves me with, what do I do with this emotion, right? And so that's the work we do. So
that's
what
Tammy
we do is, go ahead.
Tammy just commented, because I'm reading the comments here on my phone. That's why I keep looking down. It's obligated, then killed, then stuck emotions regarding that, and then it just goes on and on and on. It's like this never-ending loop. And then Dawn says she's a very emotional eater as well. It's so true. So what is your answer to that? Because I have the yogic answer to that, but I'm curious about your answer to that. What do you do with these emotions?
Yeah, so once I recognize, let's just stay with obligation, since I've been using that thought, feeling, action pattern here, okay? So I feel obligated. I'm here with the plate. I see the food and I'm feeling obligated. My brain is used to the response of eating it, and I'm not going to do that. And so what we're left with, our emotions, our choices, whenever we're feeling a feeling, is to, what we usually do is we react to it by eating, right? Or in this case, it'd be by eating. Or we resist it we just like say we're on the diet and we're like, well, no, it's above my calorie count. No, you can't have it. You can't have it. You can't have it. And so we smush it down, right? Mm-hmm. And what we resist persists. We kind of build it up even more. And so that's why we end up just blowing it. We're like perfect on it for 10 days. And then we have a day where we're like, you know what, screw it. It's just because there's been so much resistance going on that we blow eventually. So if we're not going to react to it and eat, and we're not going to willpower and smush it down, what we're left with, and what the most healthy response is to any emotion you're feeling for any reason, is to learn how to allow it. Is that the yogi answer too?
That is the yogi answer. That's what I was teaching. Yeah.
We were designed and created, so our feelings, emotions are energy in motion. And to keep it very simple, it's triggered from our brain, from our thoughts, and we have a chemical response that's released in our body, and it's a vibrational response. That's what an emotion is. That's what your feeling is. And that feeling, we've given labels to the feelings based on their frequencies, and some we like how they feel and some we don't. Right? Yeah. Some we've labeled as positive, some we've labeled as negative, just based on how they feel in our bodies. So,
and that's one of the things that I constantly explain, because to me it's fascinating, because the matrix is universal, and we just have these human minds that try and explain in different ways the same darn thing, right? And so one of the things that I love about yoga is that we'll sit in a pose, and the hamstring will be just, having sensations, and you breathe and you sit with that, and then you stretch this and you feel the tension and you kind of just breathe. And because the body's neutral and it's just tension, you're releasing tension, but you're also doing what you just said, which is bringing awareness, staying connected to your breath. And if you can do that with the tension in your back and your hamstring, then when the emotions come up, you have the strength, you have the practice, you have it's like now automatic awareness, because you build it on your mat. And then when this comes up and you're like, just sit with it. Well, just sit with it takes training. You can't just sit with it if you've never tried. This is what you've been eating.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, so good. And I love that. It's so great. Okay. So how do you allow an emotion? That feels like such an abstract, like allow, again, just like, how do I do that? So the way I teach is more on the cognitive level, especially with people with weight loss. They're used to kind of like, here's what you do, here's what you follow. And so I'm not giving you calorie counts and I'm not giving you diet plans, but I do give you these tools. And so if it's okay, I'm going to kind of teach you my little cognitive tool on how to allow an emotion. Because I think it's so important, if that's all right. So first of all, like I said, just be reassured and know that every feeling, from the worst one you can imagine to the greatest one, you were made to metabolize and process. Like, your body's equipped to take care of that emotion. But like I said, we're used to reacting it. So especially food kind of numbs that vibration and it gives us that false sense of like, oh, I got rid of that feeling, right? Yeah. Or the resistance of it is when we kind of push it down and just clench it away and distract ourselves. So when we allow a feeling...
Wait, we can't see your board.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it over. When we allow a feeling, it's wonderful because, number one, we were designed to do that, and it's the healthiest way to be, but also we're not using something outside of us to solve that problem, so we don't have the negative effects from that. Food, video games, Netflix, we can use everything. That those things aren't necessarily evil, but we can tend to overuse those things to try to buffer and put us away from our emotions, right? So how to allow an emotion. I use this acronym called BOLT. The reason I use this, I read this awesome book, and she talked about in the 21st century, humans have made a grand exodus away from themselves, meaning we cannot tolerate being with ourselves, with our emotions. When we don't feel happy, we want out, we want to bolt, right? So when we feel like we want to bolt, and many of us have bolted towards food, we want to escape the feeling we're in, and so we turn to food to solve it for us. That's bolting. That's you leaving you in that moment. So I have an acronym for BOLT, for you to stay home, stay with you. That's exactly what your spirit needs and what your body needs of you, okay? So number one is to take conscious control of your breathing. So all the systems in your body are just happening for you. Even your breathing, like I'm breathing right now and I'm not consciously thinking about it. But that is the one system you can actually bring to your consciousness and get control of. I can't do anything about my kidneys and my liver. I just can't do that. But I can take control of my breathing, and I can control how long I keep the air in and let it out. And when you do this, something is literally happening in your brain. We transfer out of fight or flight, and it moves us to our conscious brain. So that's why that's so important. So notice you're feeling a feeling. Notice you wanting to escape it. So I'm feeling obligated. I'm wanting to eat because that's what I do and I feel obligated, but now I'm not. So now what do I do with this feeling? I'm going to start breathing. I just recommend at first just like 3 breaths in, 3 seconds in, 3-second exhale. And you just get in this rhythm where you're the one in control. We're transferring our brain from fight or flight. We're calming things down. Then you want to observe, where is this feeling in my body? Where am I literally experiencing the vibration in my body? Take your brain to it. Send your brain to go find it. Imagine you have a medical scope and you're guiding the doctor to, oh, there it is. You want to, that's a good visual for you to find it in your body. And like I said, your feelings are in your body. You'll be able to find where that feeling is. And take your brain to it. This keeps your brain from going out here to, no, you really should eat, and start giving all the other reasons. And it starts to bring you inward and be home with you and observe where it is, okay? Once you find it, you may notice that you're tight against it, that you're clenching. Okay, so say a lot of my feelings that came with food were in my stomach area. Okay, and so I'd notice it's there, and I'd notice it's rushing really fast, and it feels very thick, and it's like pulsing, right? And I observed that, and then I noticed that my stomach would be holding tight against it. And so the L is for let go of that tightness around it, let go of the clench. So when you're doing yoga, you're in like the triangle pose. That was always really hard for me. They tell you to get in the pose, and then I go as far as I can, and then she says, okay, I want you to inhale, and as you exhale, I want you to go deeper into the stretch, right? And I was always amazed that I could go further than the first time I did it. That's the same thing. Every time you inhale, every time you're going to exhale, and as you exhale, I want you to open up around it. I want you to relax that tension, relax that clenching that you have around that. And so every time, and your belly will start, or wherever it is that you're breathing into, where the feeling is, you're going to start to relax into it, okay? Once you've done this and you feel yourself calm down, that rush of emotion isn't so strong, then you're just going to tell yourself simply the very next thing you're going to do. So say I'm there at the table, I feel the obligation, my brain is telling me I'm supposed to eat, and I'm giving distance between that reaction, and I'm like, no, this is an opportunity for me to bolt, to stay home and not react to this. This is not a reason why I want to eat. And I'm doing this. You can do this as you're cleaning the table. You don't have to be in a dark room doing this, okay? Then once you kind of get your breath going and you figure this out, then you're going to tell yourself the next day, I'm like, okay, I'm going to finish clearing the plates. I'm going to throw this food away, and I'm going to continue on. That just gives your brain, again, from just being out here to just like, here's the very next thing. It's a very clear thing it knows to work on next. Any questions on that?
I think people are loving you, by the way. The comments are coming in. So
I love you guys.
You know what I love about it is the more I talk to you girls, like I feel like we're all yoga teachers because this is like the same thing, right? There's so many ways to get to the same result, and that's exactly right. I mean, that's basically what you described in triangle. That's basically the same thing, except for this next step, which I find very interesting because as a matter of fact, one of the things that's a little bit different about me and yoga teachers is that I don't just do the first 3 steps. I'm like, no, we gotta do something other than what you were doing before, because if you don't do something new, then that energy, where's my slinky, it doesn't get transformed. Like, that's all you know. So to tell yourself to do something else, whether it's with regards to food, or in regards to how you respond to your partner, or in regards to how you react to your kids, that telling yourself, because this applies to everything, right? So, and if you can learn to do this with food, trust me, then the next time that your kid is gone and then you get triggered with an emotion, you're like, well, breathe, observe, let go. What do I actually need to do other than screaming at this little guy?
Yeah. And this is the step where you're truly, literally, in a scientific sense, creating a new pathway in your brain.
Rewiring the brain. Yes.
Our brains are neuroplastic. We can literally change the matter in our brain.
Yes.
I just think it's so wonderful and gracious of our Creator to allow us to continually change our mind, to change our behaviors, how we want to, because we can have that access with our brain, right? So then my very next step is I'm going to continue moving on. I'm going to continue feeling this feeling because I'm safe feeling it. And I'm not going to close this gap and react like I did. I'm starting a new neural pathway. And when you practice this enough, this will become your new automatic thing.
Yeah. So, you know, when I teach, I have this approach. It's a 3-prong approach. You got to practice. You got to get on your mat. You got to practice. If you don't train, when the emotions come up, it's a lot harder to do what you're saying. But if you have practiced doing it while you weren't all that emotional, then when the emotion comes, you're ready. You have the strength. You have the awareness. Right? So practice, understanding, which is what we're doing right now, like understanding how the brain works, understanding where things come from. I use a lot of books and modules and things that I give people for that. And then taking action. I do the coaching part, right? Because that's where you come in, like whoever, and there's coaches for different reasons, for different purposes, but the intention behind every coach is kind of similar. Is someone outside of yourself that sees you, can help you see yourself, and then can give you a different paradigm of understanding and behavior and different ideas as of what the opposite, not necessarily opposite, but yes, opposite behavior would be from what it is that you're used to doing. So you have to do this 3 parts. So I love the last one here. Tell yourself the very next step, because what that's allowing you to do is kind of be your own coach and say, okay, I'm breathing, I'm observing, I'm letting go. What do I need to do to rewire this pathway, this feeling, this emotion? Okay, we are running short on time because we're way over. I like to keep this just because people are watching and I want to respect their time and your time and all of that.
Sure.
So how do they get in touch with you? Your website is on or your Facebook page, I think is what you gave me, is on the description.
Yeah, so a few things you can do. Join my Facebook page. I'm always there sharing content, and my goal is to offer value so that you can take it. In fact, my mom has only watched my posts and my videos, and she's a Brazilian food-loving mama. But just from that, she's had 1 session with me where I helped her clear up something about her dinner time, and she's lost 40 pounds. Just from that. So that thrills me. So go to my Facebook page and watch videos there and get help. Also, I offer right now a free 30-minute coaching session, not a sales call, a coaching session. And I will teach you the main cognitive tool I use that will bring your habits into your consciousness, so you can pay attention to them. Many of your beliefs and the things you do, once you're just aware of them, will be so much easier to let go. And then there are going to be others that you're going to have to be coached through, and that's where I come in and help with coaching if that's what you need. But many people can just take these tools I've taught and are able to apply it and get results. So the very last thing I just want to say, so I will add on that link, the link to my calendar. If you want to schedule a 30-minute session with me, I'll add it on there.
You could put it on the comments below, because I don't think you could edit the post, but you could comment. You can definitely comment and put it on the comments, the link to schedule on a comment.
Yeah. So then you can choose your time. And truly, what I just want to say, because I know we get so so confused about all the different methods and about all the rules and about all the things. And I just want to say, and this is the most peaceful way to manage your weight, is either it's time to eat or it's time to feel a feeling. And if you just live by that, and this is how you can put this into practice, and then this just becomes more automatic. But if you can do that, you will be back to that calibration that you were at birth, and your body will naturally just come to the way it's supposed to be.
I love it. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. Remember, if you comment on the replay, or those who commented and watched live, you're going to be entered to win a little lip gloss, Robyn's favorite lip gloss.
It's really good.
And I'm going to do the drawing next Friday, right before the next live, every Friday morning. So you have basically all week to catch up, because I was doing it on Mondays and I kept forgetting. And so I'm just switching the deadline so I don't forget. And then Fridays, when the next speaker comes, I will be sure to remember, because I will have to announce it. And then just one more thing before we roll off. I put a post below. I am looking for some help growing my team. So if you are a motivated woman who would like to help other women step into their power and really learn to balance, that's what I specialize with the most. I deal with career women who are oftentimes like overstressed and overworked. They're juggling a million things at once, and they're tired and exhausted, and they don't really have time for themselves. They don't take care of themselves the way that they're supposed to. And I, in a very empowering and practical way, help them do that. And I need someone to help me take the large volume of calls that I'm currently getting and applications that I'm currently getting for my program. So if this is an opportunity that resonates with you, then there's instructions somewhere in a post below. You send me a message and we'll take it from there. All right, thank you so much for watching, everyone. You have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next Friday. Take care.
Bye. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Sarah.
Thank you for joining.